Fucking fuck. Let's go. Go do meditation. Go do meditation.
I was like, man, she's not gonna be able to sit down for months.
Really?
For masturbation.
Before we wrap up, I want to get my religious frustration out. I wasn't empathizing with Hitler. Fucking fuck.
Anything you want to do, you can.
Be a professor. Wink, wink.
Clearly, you spent too much time on the phone.
Fucking fuck. Let's go. Let's go. This is episode, I don't even know at this stage. What the fuck is this episode? Episode 7?
This is an interesting episode because we're not in person. Samim's ready now, Samim. Tell us,
All right, guys, so
first what's happening.
This is extremely exciting. Give me like 2 seconds. I'm currently in California. I'm in San Francisco. I am actually sucking on something right now. There are these things called micro-dosed cannabis-infused mints. So
Wow.
weed is legalized in California. So fuck you, Australian government. I'm not breaking the law. Yeah.
So how is this microdosed cannabinoid infused mints? Such a weird thing
Look,
to say.
they literally taste like normal mints.
But like, how does it feel? Like, does it make you feel anything? Do you notice
No,
anything?
it's apparently it takes like an hour to hit. So maybe you might witness me a little bit high at the end of this episode, but we'll see. But yes, Masood, my friend Maz, are you ready to fight me? Because these last few weeks I've had a lot of time for reflection.
Oh yeah.
I've been in the plane for a long time, and I'm like, fuck Masood.
Yeah, you want? So you want to do it? Let's do it.
No, I've been because look.
What part of me do you want to fuck? Like, I know I'm good looking, but
No, look. The issue that I've been having is I've been really thinking about our not that like the episode 4 that we had on religion, and I'm just not satisfied, man. I'm like my atheist anti-religious fire has been sparked in the last few weeks. I started reading this book called God Is Not Great by Christopher Hitchens. And yeah, I'm just like I feel like you've been avoiding every time I've asked the question about like the whole reason we started this podcast was you used to be atheist and now you're going towards religion, yeah. And I feel like I've shared over and over again on this podcast. Everyone knows my view. Everyone knows that I used to be religious and now I'm atheist, and I've given a good, convincing argument in my opinion. But I feel like you've dodged the question every single time when I say, why are you leaning towards religion? Like, what is it exactly? What happened? So I want to give you the opportunity to open up about that and be transparent and get cancelled.
Yeah, so okay. Where do I begin? I was just trying to think what's a good place to start.
We'll start a little bit, very briefly, just talk about your upbringing. So you were born in Iran.
Yes, I was born in Iran.
Yeah.
Grew up in the sort of, you are Muslim because they say whatever in your ears when you're a baby, and your parents are Muslim, your country is Muslim, so you grow up in the Muslim. And then I came here and I actually hated religion because in Iran you see how corrupt it is and how it's being used as a form of manipulation and power. Like it's
Which
huge.
I would say is all around the world, but in Iran it's on steroids because it's a theocracy.
It's very obvious. It's right there in front of your eyes. You just see it. It's like visual. It's not conceptual. So I already didn't like religion. I come to Australia and I don't know. I'm pretty sure I told you, but I don't know if I've told the podcast before. But I had an ex whose parents were Christian, and she didn't really care about religion as
Yeah,
well.
no, you,
And
you mentioned this on episode 4. You
oh, okay,
told the
so
story.
far I already
Yeah,
said this. So
yeah,
I that made me even dislike religion more because then I was like, okay, so what is this thing that's like is being used to manipulate and control, and it's also like being used to um separate people like there's like all these like isms and it's just another ism into
yeah.
the
No, and we talked about it, and I think we
yeah
both
so
agreed
I
on
got to
episode
this
4.
point where I really hated religion.
Yeah, yeah, I'm with you.
um and then I guess in different experiences that I had from some medicines and some meditations, uh I got to experience I had some mystical experiences.
Okay, okay,
Mystical experience.
and I just I want us to be very careful when we have this conversation, because of course we don't want to go into the details and whatnot, but I want to get to the essence of
What is a
what is a
mystical experience?
mystical experience
Yeah,
to you first,
yeah,
and then why should we even give any value or trust to mystical experience? Like, how is that different to just hallucinations or delusions?
yeah.
So please have a
I'll
crack
tell
at that.
you. So I think the reason why mystical experience is different. I mean, you would have heard about this. Simon would have talked about this on last week or the last 2 weeks in your personality lectures.
Yeah, Simon's one of
Uh,
our lecturers. Yeah.
Mystical experience can have a dramatic positive effect on people who have them. It can lead to significant, measurable positive changes in their behavior, in their thought processes, in like emotional well-being. And I had that. I've had some multiple, I would say there's two that was like really clearly mystical, but there was a few that sort of like borderline mystical, but not like to that extent.
Can you just define
Define
what is mystical?
mystical.
Give an example of maybe a mystical experience that someone can have. It doesn't have to be a real one from your life. It can be. We don't need to like clarify or specify, but
Well,
just give an experience. What does it look like?
one mystical experience I had was the sort of like you've got your perceptions of where you end
So
and
your
where
senses,
yeah
where you are in space.
yeah your yeah exactly. So you got your senses where you end and where this wall in front of you or behind you ends, right? And begins. So you end here and that thing begins there. So imagine if the boundaries between these two things was a bit more fuzzy. So you didn't quite end and the wall didn't quite begin. And then
Yeah,
they
you
became
mentioned this. You mentioned this in episode at the end of episode 1 when you're talking with Matt. You
exactly.
said
So that was a
you're one
mystical
with the.
experience for
Yeah,
me
yeah.
because you feel I really like this is really hard to grasp. Like if someone told me this, I wouldn't grasp it either. Like it's an experiential thing. That's why you can't really capture mystical experience into words. It doesn't neatly fit into the words we have. That's why poets try to do it. Rumi tries to do this. Rumi says, "You're not a drop in the ocean. You're the ocean in a drop." That's Rumi trying to capture what I explained with the boundaries dissolving and you feeling one with the universe.
So you feel one with the wall and the objects and the nature and the okay.
You just feel one with everything, and that's a really special feeling because it allows you to experience a next level of empathy. Like you can empathize. It will increase your ability to empathize.
Okay.
To
Can I just challenge that? Can I just
yeah,
challenge that? Like
challenge it.
my like okay, let's just say we both agree about the positive side effects of mystical experience, like what you just were going to mention, the increased empathy. But why give it any validity? Why give it any like why like how, it's not real. It's just something you experience. So why should it shape your because
I
when I
mean,
say
if you
religion
wanna,
versus Yeah, go ahead.
if you want to say what, if you want to talk about realness, I mean, you've learned, you've done cognitive science, and color isn't real. So why give a fuck about color?
Yeah, but I feel like that's a cheap shot. That like there
But
is.
no, I mean, like, if you really want to think about what is real and what is not real, basically nothing is real, because you just got like neurons just firing, and we don't really know what's out there. We just Our brain is interpreting, creating what it thinks is out there through our senses, the information it gets from our senses, and that information is clearly imperfect because it's not getting the actual thing that's out there. It's like changing, and you know about this. You do.
No,
So
no,
you
I do,
can't say
and
that what I'm saying is false.
I used to actually hold that, and I do. I generally hold that same belief to be like, perception is subjective. Our mind creates sensory experience. Our mind creates what we hear, what we see, all of that. I'm with you.
Yeah.
But still, I think there is a line between real and there is a line between just bullshit, like just like delusion. Like when someone has schizophrenia, yeah,
Uh-huh.
and and this is not an example of bullshit, like it's a disorder. I'm not trying to like put any judgment on it. But when someone has schizophrenia, you don't like those voices and those people you would say are not real. There is a realness to me who's you're talking to me, yeah? I'm
Mm-hmm.
sitting across from the camera talking to you. I am real. If you talk to an AI, that is not real. There is a distinction. It's not the same thing.
So
So
can
you
I?
can't just say it's all perception.
I'm going to challenge that. So that's the narrative that most people follow in the Western world. But there's cultures in the world where actually hearing voices is not considered disorder. Again, we've read these in our studies, right? In uni. So there's cultures where hearing voices is actually not considered a disorder, and it's considered that based on the narrative they have a different, they give it a different meaning. So I'm not saying that they are right and we are wrong, and I'm not saying we are right and they are wrong. I'm just saying it's about the meaning that people give to the stimuli. The stimuli on their own don't have inherent meaning. It's the
Okay,
meaning
okay.
that you give to it. So if you hear voices and you have this narrative about, if you hear voices, you are likely to be a schizophrenic, and that's where you are, and that's what you experience. Then you go, okay, I might have a schizophrenia. If you have the narrative that if you hear voices, you're connecting to your ancestors, or whatever narrative you might have in where you live, then you hear voices and like, oh, I'm connecting to my ancestors, and they just both of those are, for those people experiencing them, a valid, real experience.
Look, like I agree with the validity of it. I do, and I agree with the fact that like it is at the end of the day, it comes down to the machine that is processing this information. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm with you on that, but I still I'm trying to understand your point of view.
Yeah.
I still think the example I gave with you having a conversation on Zoom with
Yeah.
Samim Barasta, who's sitting here right now,
Uh-huh.
versus an AI, they are
Okay.
not the same thing, in my opinion. And based on what you're saying, is if you just change your narrative, and if you thought you were talking to a real person, then it is the same thing. But the reason
So
you
hang
think
on,
that
tell
AI is me,
what's the difference between me having a chat with you and having a chat with Chat GPT? What's the actual difference?
okay, so once again, what I'm trying to get at is it's about access to knowledge. Yeah.
Okay.
So me and you both know there is a difference.
But
The
what is the
experience.
difference? Tell me,
Okay,
tell me.
the difference is that I am a person with flesh and blood, and I have neurons in my brain that are firing and synapses and proprioception, and ChatGPT doesn't have that. It is a language
Okay.
model. It's different. It's fundamentally different. It's not the same thing as me.
But yeah, so you were talking about the experience of me chatting with you being different with the experience of me chatting with Chat GPT, right? That's what you were
Mhm.
talking about. I'm saying,
Yeah.
how is my experience of chatting with you
Exactly.
different to my experience of
Exactly.
chatting with ChatGPT?
So
Not
your
how
ex
ChatGPT and you are different. Do you know what I mean?
yes. No, 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 no. Let me answer that. Let me answer that. So I think your experience could be 99.99% the same. Even 100%. I don't care. It doesn't matter. You could have
Mhm,
the exact same experience, but that doesn't change the truth of the matter that ChatGPT is not human. ChatGPT can act like a human. ChatGPT
mhm.
can give off the illusion. It can even look like it's in a human body, but it is fundamentally not a human. So there is truth, there is fact, there is a difference because we know that. We know that. So my whole point with mystical experience is just because it feels like the same, we have knowledge and we know it is not the same thing as reality. That's what I'm trying to get at.
So the thing that I think okay, I think I figured out the point that we disagree on. The core of the issue that we have like a different views on is I believe that it's not necessarily true that me sitting here is the most real the reality is. Um yeah, that's the core of it. Like I think there is reality is I don't know, dimensional. Like there's different levels, different things that like so think about like there's a so we have the physical reality right now, like the Newtonian physics, right? Because we big objects we operate in the Newtonian laws. But then within that Newtonian physics, there's the subparticles and quantum physics that behave completely differently. We don't really understand them, and I don't want to use that as a scapegoat for anything. But I'm just saying that reality exists and it's real, but it's completely different with this reality that I'm seeing you. So I'm seeing you in a way, but I'm not really seeing you in that way. And maybe that way is more real than this way. I don't know. So I'm not saying one is more real than the other one. I'm just saying because there is different realities in the way I explained. So there's a reality of in the quantum physics, there's a reality in the physical things, and there's like vibrational and all that stuff. Because there's these different dimensions, I don't necessarily think that the reality that we are on right now, that I'm looking at you through this screen, is necessarily the most real and everything else is less real. I'm open to this being the truth, but I don't have any solid evidence that tells me this is actually the case. So because of that,
Okay,
I'm
okay.
keeping my mind open. Did that
Okay,
make
no,
sense?
look, I like that. I feel like there's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah, it was a big
It
spiel
was a
of
big. So
things.
look, the first thing I want to say is, um, first of all, we used a lot of fancy words. I just want us to like just make sure everyone's following us and we
Following,
didn't lose
yeah,
anyone. So I
yeah,
think that so your idea is that there are so if you zoom in, like let me give like a more basic example. If you zoom in on Samim, on the outside, I look like a fully functioning human. You know, you zoom in on um my arm and you go into and it's a muscle. It's a one muscle that's working. You zoom in and it's like a cell, and you zoom in and inside the cell there's smaller things happening. So your whole idea is that we are just on one dimension of existence, and
yeah.
there are many other living things on more smaller and bigger levels, like for example a person versus a group versus a nation versus a collective globe.
And even things that we don't see but we know exist, like UV ray, X-ray.
Mhm.
There is
Yeah.
so many things that are real. Do you reckon UV is real?
Yeah.
But we don't see it.
Mm.
So there is a lot of reality that we can't experience through our five senses because our five senses have limited capacity to experience the reality. So that's my whole thing that I'm trying to say. is the reality is bigger than you think reality. The only reality is the things that you can see, the things that you can touch, the things you can hear. But I'm saying that's a reality, a potential reality. Maybe even we're right now in a dream. You don't know. You could be having a dream that you're having a podcast episode with me right now. Is that a possibility?
Ah, man, you're
No,
gonna open this can of worms.
is that a possibility? Is it a possibility that right
Is
now
it
you're
is it
having
a
a dream?
possibility? Yes. Yes, it is a possibility.
Okay, so there is a possibility that right now it's not reality, but you think it's reality. Like it's a realistic possibility to have a dream. Like all the time when you have a dream, you think that dream is so real until you wake up. Like if you have a nightmare, when you wake up, your heart rate is increased, you're sweating, you're like, oh my God, that was so terrifying. Why was it terrifying if it was a dream? Because you thought it was real. That's the only reason a nightmare is terrifying, because you think it's real. So I think I'm just saying reality is not as so concrete as you think it is. It's a little bit more vast, and we are still learning about reality as a human race. We are still discovering things. We are, like, yeah, we're learning about it. We're still discovering it. So I'm just saying, don't put reality in this small box and say, I know what reality is, because I think that's a very limited idea to think you know what
Look,
reality is.
I'm trying to really understand your viewpoint, but I still have to push back because
Yeah,
I
push
think
back. I like it.
I think you're like I just don't think it's fair
Yeah.
because what you're arguing is that like being like very basic. If I'm just trying to put it, your argument is it's just too complicated. We don't know enough, and therefore anything is possible. And whilst I somewhat agree with that, I just don't think it's. I feel like it's a cheap shot at science. It's a cheap shot at rationality, and it's a cheap shot at trying to actually find the facts. Because I do think there are facts. Because if there weren't facts, I would not dedicate my life to science and understanding and knowledge.
I'm not saying there are no facts. I'm saying we are still learning more about these facts. The science is discovered. Like, so think about how far we've come with science. Think about, I don't know, maybe 100 years ago, microwaves didn't exist. Not the microwaves that heat up your food, but like we didn't know the microwaves, like the
Like the
actual
waves that are
waves.
like smaller. Yeah, I get that.
We didn't know those waves existed. We couldn't, like, my dad tells me this story that when he was a kid, he told his uncle, uncle, there's these devices gonna come that we can see the people in other cities. And his uncle said, you told me this, that's okay. Don't tell to anyone else. They think you've gone crazy, because they couldn't even comprehend, because it didn't seem real that you can see someone across the world. It just didn't seem real. But but how is it? But is that's so mind
Hmm.
blowing now, because it's a part of our reality now, and we got there through science.
Okay,
We
can
got
I
there
just say one
through
thing?
looking for science. So we got there by experimenting, by doing science. We discovered these, like, radio waves. We discovered these other things, and by these discoveries, we've improved and we've learned. We've expanded what is real. The sense of reality that we have now is a lot bigger than it was 200 years ago.
Look, I'm with you. I'm with you. And I think that this notion is correct, because people thought the earth was flat and then they realized the earth wasn't flat, and science is constantly evolving, and maybe some of the understandings that we currently have of physics will be challenged, and what we think is true right now will come out as incorrect later. However,
Mhm.
what you just said, someone said, hey, there's this device, you can see someone from the other side of the world. Don't tell anyone, they might think you're crazy. Yeah, I think that's a great example, because that device turned out to work. It turned out to be real. You actually could see people on the other side of the world. Your uncle
Mhm.
wasn't crazy. But
Mhm.
then there was probably 2,000 other cases of random bullshit that people suggested that actually turned out wrong. So I think what you're getting at is I totally agree. Yeah. We have to be open to the unknown. If we just stick to the facts that we have now, we'll never be able to grow as a race because
Mm-hmm.
there are things that seem mystical now, which in the future will actually not be mystical anymore. There'll be plenty of evidence for them. So I'm totally
Mm-hmm.
with you. But that,
Mm-hmm.
but the thing is, in terms of the first step, yes, I agree. We should give mystical experiences a chance. We shouldn't just brush them away and not address them at all. We should give them a chance. However,
Mm-hmm.
I believe personally through the scientific method or through some sort of filter and some criteria, we need to sift through these mystical experiences because some of them will in the future be science and some of them are just bullshit. It's like you
Mm-hmm.
had the witch doctors. Witch doctors were witch doctors. It was fucking some crazy person. It's not real. If some of the fucking
But
scientists they can
even okay, that's a good example you brought up. So I was actually reading a little bit about like the times in Europe where they were burning people as witches and stuff. Some of them were doing sort of herbal remedies, like you come to see me and I've got knowledge about herbs, like medicinal herbs, and I'm like, okay, so you've got this like pain. If you get this herb, it can help this pain, and I give you this pain, and someone sees it and they're like, oh, that person took away their pain. They're a witch and they burnt them. So
yeah, yeah.
some of those actually were people who were trying to find actual medicine.
They're trying to find, which I
And
respect.
they were
Not
using
everything they did is real.
but some of them were using medicine and it was working, and that's why they got banned because people didn't. Yeah, I don't. That's a
No, no,
random
no.
side thing.
No, I agree with that. I totally agree. And there was a bunch of political reasons why innocent people got burned. I don't want to get into the nitty-gritty of the
Yeah, I
history.
don't really
But
know too
what
much
but
about
what
it.
I'm trying to get at is that there was the Black Plague in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
Some person said, "Hey, I had a vision, I had a dream. If you shove a sweet potato up your asshole, it cures the Black Plague." Is that should we listen to that person? Should we shove sweet potatoes up
I
our
mean,
asshole?
you don't need to go that far. Just when we had COVID, Trump said, if you, what did he say?
Drink
Eat,
bleach.
drink bleach, it'll work. So you don't need to go that far to find something like that.
No, so okay, Masood, so you're an advocate of giving strange ideas and thoughts a chance. Why
Yeah.
should I not shove a sweet potato up my ass?
So giving ideas a chance, I look at what are some likely benefits of this potentially wacky idea, right? If in that realm, I can think of more things, then what are the potential negatives of this wacky idea? That's how I think about it. What are because I don't know what actually going to happen with this wacky idea, right? No one does, but you can sort of sit down and use your mind, use your rationality, your favorite word, to sort of think about what are the potentially good things that can happen, what are the potentially bad things that can happen, and then if the scale is going to one side or the other side, then you can use your decision use that on your decision making.
But I don't agree with that. Like I genuinely think, okay, if I do it properly and if the sweet potato is not too big, then worst case scenario, I just experience some pleasure from having something in my asshole. There's no downside. So therefore, based on your criteria, I should try it. Maybe you'll get rid of COVID.
I mean, yeah, I guess like
No, that's bullshit. That's fucking
but see,
bullshit.
no. See, I'm not saying to go shove potatoes up your ass, but I'm saying like it also, and then so I actually did a unit in philosophy. They were talking about this. So there's different things that you use to uh so there's different criterias that you need to like think when you're trying to find what's a good idea. So you got to look at the person that said that. What kind of a person are they? Is this person a educated professor, or do they have some evidence to back up this claim, or did they just come up with this claim? If they have some really strong evidence to suggest that their claim has some magnitude, has something.
Okay, what's the evidence for religion? I'm sorry to throw this in here. What's the evidence? What's the evidence? Why would you even consider it? Because I would say the evidence, there's no evidence for the existence of God. There is no solid evidence to back up any claim. So therefore, based on your own criteria, you shouldn't even consider religion. There's anecdotal evidence, people's experiences. There are lots of people who follow it, but what evidence is there that God exists other than correlations and stories and wives' tales? What evidence is there even that Muhammad is the person that he said he was, or Jesus Christ? You know, we have the Bible, which was a book, no offense, but a storybook that was handed from person to person over 2,000 years. How can you, as a man of science, how can you trust the words in the Quran or the Bible or the Torah or the Old Testament? We know as a fact that they've been changed for political advantage throughout the years by kings, by popes, by whatnot. So why would you even give religion a chance?
So the kind of religion, like, I wanted to clarify this at the start, but I forgot. So you said I'm like leaning towards religion. More specifically, I'm leaning towards spirituality. There's a
Okay,
slight
clarify.
there's a difference between spirituality and religion. Religion is there's organized religion. There's a hierarchy. There's a specific path that you're supposed to follow. You're supposed to follow these 10 commandments. You're supposed to do this thing, and then this thing happens. It's prescripted. It's a prescripted direction. And again, I don't have anything against that or anything pro that. It's just not where I'm heading. Where I'm heading is spirituality, is my own understanding of my that wider reality that I was talking about. How what else is in this reality that I'm not seeing that's functioning in this reality? And through some experiences, some of them just completely substance free as well, just meditation. I've had experiences where it was purely like it changed fundamentally how I see the world, because I experienced there was an experience I had in a Vipassana, a 10-day silent meditation retreat, where my awareness was so heightened. So like, think every time you breathe, the breath that goes in is slightly cooler than the breath that comes out, because your body's temperature is cooler than outside. But you can, like, when you're just talking normally, you don't notice temperature difference on near your lips or near your nose, right? It's so subtle, you don't notice it. But if you do this meditation, and you're gonna do it, you actually
Yeah,
gonna
I'm
be
gonna
going
do it.
there. You'll be focusing a lot on that. So you start to notice that subtle change. So when you're raising your awareness, you can notice more than you would notice normally. And in a really heightened state of awareness, I could notice that my own body is vibrating in a way that we know scientifically everything vibrates. We know that. We know, like, a solid object is made of cells vibrating, right? We know that, scientifically, right?
I'm gonna admit I don't know actually, but I believe you and I've heard it from other people. So yeah, that sounds right.
Everything is in a constant state of vibration,
Yep.
scientifically. But I experienced that within my own body.
Mm-hmm.
My own awareness was in a state that I
But
could
it's a
experience that.
perception. It's a perception of like, yeah, whether it actually, yeah, I guess, yeah, I'm with you. Yeah.
It's just as much as perception as it is me seeing you. So if I'm seeing
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
is not
You're right.
real, then that perception they're both perception. They're both on
Yeah,
the
yeah, no,
same
I agree.
playing
You're
field.
right. Mm-hmm.
So by experiencing that, I realized there's more to reality. And that was a mystical experience for me, because I experienced myself as a vibrating being, and my vibration could change depending on my own thoughts. It was a crazy experience that I had, and it was mystical, and it was life-changing, and it was transformative. Now, you how does it relate to spirituality? It relates to spirituality because I realized just how much power you have inside yourself. Because with one thought, you can change the vibration of your entire body.
Okay, can I just like intervene here?
Yeah.
Because
And
what I was
we
gonna,
don't have too much time as well, remember, because
yeah, all good. Remind me how much time we have left.
you got about 3 minutes.
Okay, sweet. All right. This is actually good. This is a good way to wrap it up. I think I like actually yeah, thanks for sharing your experience with the vibrations, because I think it's a good it's a good example for people who are listening to be like, mystical experience is not always seeing like zombies or humans or hearing voices. Mystical experience can literally be as simple as feeling something in your own body that you haven't felt before. So
Yeah.
I think that was great. Like, good job. um the only thing I was going to add is the clarifying, because spirituality I do not have a problem with. Spirituality or seeking meaning, I do not have a problem with at all. Like, if you're saying, Samim, there's more to life than what science is telling us, I'm on a journey to explore that. Totally
Mm-hmm.
fine. Totally fine.
Mm-hmm.
That, I have 100% respect for you. That's my own personal journey as well. But the second, I think, where it becomes religion is to say A, B, C, D, E, F, G. This is what actually happens. This is the story of how the world was created.
So
There was Adam
I
and Eve
just
and blah, blah, and blah,
I just
blah.
had an idea. I just had an idea. I think this is sort of this is just random thought that I had. So I think religion is potentially. So think about me, and I'm exploring this thing, right? And I explore this thing, and I find something, and I come and tell people, guys, I found this thing, and I'm talking about it, and I'm explaining it, and I'm whatever. And then people are like, oh, he's found the thing. And maybe some people do the thing that I did to find the thing, and they see some part of what I saw, and then it becomes a whole religion. Maybe religions started this way. Maybe religion started by people having spiritual, mystical experience, and there is actually some evidence to suggest this as well. Maybe we can talk about this at the next episode.
I have no idea what that any of that meant, but like, were you giving an example of how you think religion started?
Yeah, like people have someone having a completely mystical experience comes
That's
and
yeah, that's
explains
possible.
their mystical experience, and it starts a whole religion.
Okay. No, look, that's possible. The last thing I'm just gonna say is I still I don't understand why you even said that, because another way religion can start is from a manipulative, egotistical, narcissistic charlatan who's trying to brainwash people and gain power and control and get money. So that's also plausible. Can you admit that's plausible? It's possible, at least?
It is possible, but I think it's less likely given what we sort of know
Oh, we're not talking about
happens.
likeliness. You're saying it's plausible that
It is
there's some evidence for the mystical, spiritual stuff, and I'm saying this is also plausible.
yeah.
Okay, nice.
We don't have any strong evidence that suggests it's impossible.
Okay. Okay. No, I think that's a good place to end it. We still disagree. We
we'll,
still.
we'll we'll definitely need to like open this up again. Thank you for like bringing this up. I think it was a good episode. I was thinking really hard to like what do I believe? How do I communicate that? That was good, but I think this is gonna need a longer episode. Maybe at some point where we don't have the time constraint and we can uh come to hear more about each other's perspective and talk about each other's perspective.
That's it, Master. I still love you. God bless America.
God bless America, right? And next time, make sure you tell us the story about your airport journey. That was an interesting
Oh,
journey.
okay. But next time I'll talk. And right now I'm starting to feel the effects of the cannabis. So I'm gonna go.
Oh yeah. Enjoy, bro. Get some food in you, yeah. Enjoy
Ah,
enjoy
will do,
enjoy
will
enjoy
do.
the munchies.
Oh my God, I got some pomegranate waiting for me in the kitchen.
Fuck yeah, bro. All right. Heading out. Enjoy
I'll
your
probably never see you guys
trip.
again. I don't know if I'll ever leave America. No,
Yeah,
actually, fuck it.
he might
Oh,
not be
no,
allowed
actually, I
in.
shouldn't say that because the fucking United States is scared that people will come and never go away. Actually, I got shit to do. I'm gonna go back to Australia.
He
I'm not
might
gonna
not be
stay.
allowed back in. I don't know. You just on the podcast said you're taking drugs and
It's legal in California.
I
It's
don't know.
it's
I'm just giving you shit.
fight me. All right, bye.
I gotta go. Okay.
Fucking fuck. Let's go. Go do meditation. Go do meditation.
I was like, man, she's not gonna be able to sit down for months. Masturbation.
Before we wrap up, I want to get my religious frustration out. I wasn't empathizing with Hitler. Fucking fuck.
Anything you want to do, you can.
Be a professor. Wink, wink.